The topic for the day is if you can do imaginary acting exercises. Now, this industry is fantastic. It's very, very, very interesting. And what you're asked to do as an actor can initially feel like it's impossible. I mean, literally, the process of going into auditions, seeing somebody that you've never seen before in your life, and then being asked to instantly believe that they're involved in whatever is involved in the script. This is what we're asked to do in acting. Every single day that we get an audition, this is what we're asked to do. We're asked to be able to actually use our imaginations, to actively believe that a person's involved in something that they've never been part of, or that they may not have ever done. And we're asked to be able to have that be completely believable. So there's the elements that I teach very well. And please be very open with your opinions with me. I'm very open to exploring any opinions. But the reality of this, I teach very well how to do the emotion. Because the emotion is the being side of the work. So you got the being side of the work. But the topic of the day has to do with imagination. With imagination acting exercise. So, a lot of people have asked me over the years and still do. How do I rehearse alone, Simon? Simon, how does this work when you don't have a partner to work with? How can you exercise your imagination? Another question people have asked is, how do you rehearse a scene? How do you work in a way that's activating your imagination and acting? You're literally asked to completely believe that a stranger that may have nothing to do, with what the script is suggesting that they've had to do with their life, maybe the casting's bad. Or maybe it needs your creative energy to be able to make it actually work. So, it comes down to your imagination. The imagination acting exercise is the ability to stretch your imagination. Now I know. How do you do that? If you can sit down at a coffee shop and start to believe that people are maybe things that your script suggests, or that they have character traits that you have no idea if they have or not, but you're capable of working with your own imagination to believe that it's possible. Well, now you're working with your imagination. So what am I suggesting? Look, there's all types of ways to work with your imagination. And of course you have to be careful. And this is the real thing to be careful of, is that you're able to come out of it just like you're able to go into it. So you work within your imagination. You're literally asked to completely believe strangers are doing, heinous things, or they're involved in high crimes, or they're part of white collar networks, or whatever the script is. Well, then I would suggest that you go to coffee shops. Sit in the coffee shops. And imagine that you're in a situation around the people and the coffee shops that that guy or this girl or this woman, this is the thing, and this person could be that grandmother over there. I could see them being parts of this script. I can imagine it. Now you know that you're working with your imagination because this is acting. Now this is very, very, very unconventional advice on acting. Well, I'm training people very clearly to work with their emotions, activate their emotions, and then jump into their imaginations. Jump into their imaginary circumstances. But instead of having an imaginary circumstance that's just your own belief, you're going to have an interaction in the imaginary circumstance. So whatever it takes for you to detail, just like a writer sits down and details different characteristics of some character that's in a script. They come up with character traits. Can you imagine certain people have certain character traits even though you've never met them? If you can, and you can practice using your imagination to believe that people have character traits that you know that they may not have, then you're literally practicing a very unconventional way of doing acting that will prepare you for auditions. Now, I've watched a lot of acting. I've never heard anybody suggest such a crazy exercise in any of the acting exercises, and I'm the first one to admit it. Your acting training is actually important to me, and that's why I'd like you to join me at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesdays and Thursdays for my live feed. If you find the information on my website, you can actually join the live feed. I can send you a link and you can actually come on and talk to me face to face. And you can actually, we'll do emotional preparations together. So we can actually work to be able to access your emotions and help you be able to put emotions into your acting work. But I really like acting. And this is a technique, emotional acting exercise. Can you sit down and practice with your imagination? Can you go for, go to the corner store. Get to know the person at the corner store a little bit. And then use your imagination to use some of the things within your script to believe that maybe they did a crime when they were a child. Maybe they did a crime when they were 30. Maybe they had an ex-wife that passed away. Can you adopt a belief to be able to readily think, yeah, there's a quality in that person at that convenience store that I couldn't believe this thing, I couldn't believe that thing, but my imagination could definitely believe that they had a wife in their past that's now passed away. I could believe that with this person, I could believe that with this person, I could believe this with this person. Now, why are you doing this? You don't want to be absolutely in absolute stunned mode in your auditions. I can work, and I do work, and I'm willing to work, and you can join me live. And I can help you to access your emotions. But that is one part of it. And it's a big part of it. Very, very big. The catapult. You catalyst your emotions. And then you jump into an act of doing. So you jump into an active imagination. Which is why this is called the imagination acting exercise. Okay, brainstorm a situation where, I know, there's somebody at the gym that you work out at, and you don't really know them that well, but you could believe that they've had cancer and they're a successor of cancer. Now, this isn't true, or you have no idea if it's true or not. But what you're doing is you're practicing your imagination. So you're practicing your acting. You're starting to practice one component of acting, which is practicing your imagination. Then, when you go to audition, you do your emotional preparation And because maybe you've done a whole series of these kinds of exercises, working with the imagination acting exercises, you see somebody you've never seen before, but you recognize one or two traits, and all of a sudden you can attach all sorts of your own work, of your imagination work, into the scene. And all of a sudden, the casting director's like, we don't know where that chemistry's come from. But I'm telling you how to build that chemistry with complete strangers. So it's fascinating. I mean, this is something that's just intense, but yet at the same time, there's subtleties to it. And it doesn't have to be this intense. You don't have to imagine somebody having some horrific background. Maybe you know that you've got some auditions for police cop shows. And you know that there's some undercover scenes with police officers or whatever the case is, similar like that, right? And so what you do is you do imagination work ahead of your audition. And you literally start to practice your imagination to believe that complete strangers in life could be police officers, just off duty. And you find that, you're starting to study traits in people. What could be your belief cycle, and you start to expand your imagination. Expanding your imagination, you need to know, is your job as an actor. And here's why. You expand your imagination. You're working with a reader that maybe is just reading off of the script. But yet, you're able to put some connections to that using your imagination because you've done imaginary acting exercises. Just like I'm suggesting. Then you work with that element. And you work and do your emotional preparation on the material. So one, you've got your material completely isolated. You've got your emotions within the script isolated. You're willing to take the ride of the writer, going moment to moment within the writing. Now, I have seen, I've trained with over 35 different teachers, somewhere between 30 and 40,000 acting exercises. I think it's somewhere between 8 and 10,000 students. And I'm doing a live stream. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays and Fridays. So if you'd like to join me there, you're very welcome to join me. You get a peek of whoever you're going to be reading with. Somebody comes out that you know that, or you've just done this work and it will automatically work because you're able to expand your imagination that quickly. Because you've done prior work. You're going to look like a more experienced actor. Not somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Somebody that actually knows what they're doing. Because you're able to immediately identify traits with whomever you're working with. With your imagination. So somebody says to you in an audition, this person's a cop. Okay, great, this is a cop. What do you know about traits about people being police officers? I don't mean to use that as derogatory. I'm just trying to get the ideas out here. And the thing is that now you know. Maybe you go and do some research. These are the kinds of roles that are in this series or whatever audition that you have. And this is the kind of work that you want to do to be able to expand your imagination so you can start to identify traits, character traits, in whoever you've just met in your audition. This is great. You don't have to guess. You know, oh yeah, yep. You see that they have this trait, you see that they have that trait, you see that you can identify 1 or 2, maybe 3, 4, 5 traits. And this can happen very quickly because you've already done the work of your imagination and you've done the imaginary acting exercises. So is this practicing acting? Yes. So, Acting is believing, right? Of course. You activate your emotion, you get your activated emotion going, and then you've already identified traits that you recognize in the other person. So you've built immediate chemistry with them. Sometimes the chemistry can backfire on you in a way that would work for the scene. Maybe it's a trait that you don't like, or maybe it's a trait that you really do like. But it will be chemistry. So you've got a spark in your audition. Now look, help me out, make some comments, learn from what I'm saying. Understand, I'm not telling you how to work. I am able to tell you how to work. I want you to learn your own acting techniques. This is a valid acting exercise. You're working to expand your imagination. Is it unconventional? Of course. Will it give you more chemistry in your acting? Yes. Does it work? It may not work for you, but it might, and it probably will if you do it. The other thing you could do that's more subtle than this is just do the research work. What kind of typical traits are with the people that you're working with in your script? Can you pick out traits with whomever you're auditioning with that you've already priorly been able to identify in your script? And these are excellent, excellent suggestions on how to approach your acting. The imaginary acting exercise is designed to be able to stretch your imagination. Don't be afraid of what you can imagine. Let your imagination go. Let the fantasy of what you can believe about others live in you. It could be something very honorable. It could be something very terrifying. It could be whatever the case is. So work with that to be able to allow yourself to be able to expand the imagination. And this whole purpose of this is so that you can have an imaginary, an experience in an imaginary circumstance, even though it's unconventional. A lot of times the most unconventional acting exercises can be some that produce the incredible results. So why not try out this technique in acting and let me know how it's working for you. I really am into acting, and I know you are too. And the most important thing in acting is emotion. You've got to be willing and capable, and you got to know some of these tricks. These tricks of being able to activate your emotion. You activate your emotion in the being side of the work, and then you catapult yourself and dive into the doing side of the work, the interaction. And this element called emotional preparation is key. And I have a live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Tuesdays and Fridays. And you can join me, and if you look on my website, you can find the information, and we can go face to face and do a live stream, and I can help you with your emotional preparations.